Hi, Ego Man 20 here. Ego medicine is the means to healing one's ego energy, and it begins with something that is extremely crucial. Understanding what ego is and what it isn't. The truth of ego. There are many things said about ego in the mental health and spiritual literature that are wrong and need to be unlearned. And you can often see them in the title of a story or article on ego. Here are some of them. They say that our ego forms our thoughts. Untrue, because ego doesn't have an intellect with which to think and form our thoughts. It's just an energy, a very important energy at that, our survival energy. They say that ego can form our intentions. Untrue, because ego doesn't have an intellect with which to form our intentions, particularly bad ones. We do that with the ego energy it is in our mind, our ego mind. They say that ego can only be a negative influence on our lives. Untrue, because ego can be a positive influence when it's healthy in its power, flexibility, and vulnerability, something I talk about a great deal in my work. They say that ego can only have us trapped in the past or preoccupied with the future. Untrue, because ego can be in the present when it's healthy and in balance, again, in its power, flexibility, and vulnerability. They say that ego is aware of what it's doing in your life. Untrue, because it doesn't possess an intellect with which to form that awareness. Remember, it's just an energy, our survival energy. They say that ego tries to edge God out of our lives. Untrue, because ego doesn't possess an intellect with which to form that awareness and any negative intentions having to do with God. It doesn't have any awareness of God, and for that matter, it has no awareness of you or even of itself. They say that ego can be healed by God and by using purely spiritual means, a 3,000-year-old approach. Untrue, because that's your task if you wish to take it on with what I call ego medicine. Finally, they say that ego must be dissolved, disowned, and defeated, something often said by spiritual teachers. Untrue, ego can and must be healed by you, because you're the only one living it 24/7 with the use of ego medicine. To learn more, please visit my website, egoandspirit.info. Take a look at offerings on my YouTube Ego Man 20 channel and get each of my 5 books that are available at the Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Balboa Press online bookstores. In peace and love, thank you for watching.